Yes, Mongo. We need to bring in a backing store. So MongoDB is a document store. So it's not your traditional SQL type. It's called a NoSQL, no SQL, and it's one of the more popular document stores that Node users tend to use.
Okay, so we can install Mongo easily?
I use Homebrew. I just basically on my Mac I do a brew up and then brew install Mongo, and it
What
comes
if you
in.
don't have a Mac? Is there other ways to get it?
You can download it from the website, and I'm sure there's the equivalent package manager on Windows and on
Probably in
Linux.
chocolatey.
Yeah.
I'll take a look. Yeah.
And then if you're on Linux, it's just apt-get or yum install. I'm sure there's a package for it.
Okay, so Brew is basically just an easy way to get modules in a Mac.
Yes. Yes.
You have a thing called chocolatey on Windows to let you do that.
Is that what? Yeah, I've heard of that.
I can't spell chocolatey, but I can eat it.
Chocolati. So while you're doing that, let me see.
Yes, MongoDB is in chocolatey, which is like Brew for Windows.
Okay, yeah. So I would suggest using that. Once I have it installed, I can then launch it. I just type Mongo. It basically tells me I'm running as root, which I shouldn't be doing. And I can do things like show my databases and use the database. But it's running, and it's running on a port. I think it's 2300, whatever port it's running. And we're going to access it now. So Mongo is our database, and Mongoose is our ODM. So that allows us.
Okay. Mongo is the database.
Yep.
Mongoose is something that allows you to talk to Mongo?
Correct.
Do you need Mongoose?
You don't need Mongoose. You talk to Mongo directly through Node, but again, it's kind of like Express and HTTP, right? Mongoose is an ODM, object data mapper, or whatever, object relational mapper.
What you're saying is it sounds like it's going to make it easier to talk to Mongo. Like I've written code right to Mongo, but Mongoose is something that makes the
exactly
little like sugar.
You can create a schema, and you create basically a schema in an object, a model, and you can use that model to then say save or find or open. You reference the model instead of making the commands into Mongo directly. So let's see how that works. I've got, again, this other project. So I have a model, so a cat model. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to touch this file, cat model.
So now, unlike before where cats could be any shape or size, now the actual structure, the schema for the cat is going to be fixed.
Yes. It's a loose fitting, so it's a document store, so you don't have to, you can make certain parts of it required, but that's the other good thing about using Mongo.
Right. So we could add new properties or new columns or whatever else we want to do to it.
Exactly. Very easily. So I've got this cat model file, and I'm going to copy and paste what I've done. So I'm going to require Mongoose. So again, we have to do an npm install. Save Mongoose.
You need two dashes in save, right?
Yes, I do.
Sweet.
Sometimes I type too fast.
Cool. So we get Mongoose in, and he's going to talk to Mongo. So somewhere in there, you're going to have to tell it where Mongo is, right?
Yes. So that'll be inside my initialization, inside my index.js. I'm going to require Mongoose, and I'm going to connect to Mongoose. So inside my index.js, I'm going to go right below my body parser, and I'm going to require Mongoose, and I'm going to say mongoose.connect, and then I just use this structure. So it says MongoDB : // and I'm saying localhost cats.
Okay.
This could be any URL. It could be a cloud server.
So it's its own protocol.
Yeah.
MongoDB.
Yes. Alrighty. So we're installed. So that's good. Let me see. What did I do? So I've got my cat model. So we define a schema. So I use Mongoose to define my schema, and I pass it an object, and I basically say I've got a name that's a string, an age that's a number, and a type that's a string. You could do booleans, dates. You can even reference other schemas.
Are those types Mongo types?
These are Mongo.
Okay, so these are.
I'm sorry. This is Mongoose uses to track these.
Okay, so you'd have to know what types that it offers to be able to do that. Gotcha.
Correct. And there's some really good documentation. Mongoose.js.com. Oh, I had the docs API. So I can look through here, API docs. Yeah, there's a lot of documentation. It might not be the best structurally. Oh yeah, so my schemas.
Right, so like booleans and dates in there.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of documentation.
And arrays and objects. Gotcha.
Yep. Okay, so, and then I export it. So I say module export mongoose.model, and I'm defining a cat with my cat schema.
So you created the schema, and then you're exporting something called a model, which, okay, so you're mapping the name of this model is going to be cat.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And now if I go back into my cats folder, I'm going to need to import this. So if I go into I got a thing called cat route. I can rename this because we're going to keep it organized and tidy. And we'll say cat routes.
Oop. I don't think you're typing.
Yeah, that's one little bug that drives me nuts. Cat routes. Okay. And so we're going to require, we're going to say var cat is going to require /cat.
And the capital C is because that's basically an object that you're going to create a class model.
Again, JavaScript is case sensitive, but this doesn't, case doesn't imply type.
No,
and
that's just a convention we use because you're going to do that.
Ruby does that, but we're not using Ruby today. All right, so now I'm going to change all the things that I had done here, which was just basically using this array and creating my post cat and get cat ID. And I'm going to now, instead, I'm going to be, it's going to look the same, but now instead of iterating and working on that underbar cat array, I'm going to be sending and receiving things from my database.
Okay, so if we go through the post,
yep,
same thing, get /cat.
Exactly.
But now I've got a new cat we're creating, and we're taking the body. Again, we're not validating it, we're just assuming that's there.
Yep.
So it's got to match it up. And then you're doing a save into Mongo.
Yep.
And if it works, it works. And then the first parameter must be the error callback?
Yep. If error, info, error creating cat, so I'm just going to send, I'm sending this down the pipe.
Okay.
So I'm saying if I did a save and my callback function has an error, so if error exists, this error checking is not the best, it's just some simple stuff.
Sure.
It says if there's an error, say, hey, we got an error, otherwise send JSON. The problem is if there is an error, it'll actually try to send this JSON too. I noticed that the other day. But just to keep it simple, just look at this. As we go later on, I'll show you some better error handling.
Okay.
And I'm sending response.json info cat created successfully. So pretty simple, right?
Yep.
I mean, using Mongoose, I just basically declare my model, and then I can tell the model to save itself, and I get a callback function saying whether or not it happened. Same for the read. So when we come in, I'm using the cat model, and I'm saying cat.find. Again, I don't have to create a new cat because I'm not creating something new. I'm actually just going to query the database. So I say, hey, cats in Mongoose, find here, and I pass in the cats object. And I say, if there's an error coming back, I say there was some sort of error. Otherwise, I say, hey, the cat was found successfully, and I send the data back.
Okay, so in the get there, if I'm reading this right, I think I misspoke earlier, the cat find in this case, the only parameter you pass to it is a function. That's the delegate. And that's what happens after it's found it. So we do cat find. When Mongo comes back and says, I found something or I didn't find something, whatever the answer is, the same function is going to run, whether it's an error or not. That's why you're doing the if error.
Yep.
Do I have to do a res.end after the JSON, or do I?
No. So that's one of the benefits of using Express is that when you say response.json, it won't chunk it. It sends
so
the
if that
for
error
you.
is out on line, let's say, if line 21 executes.
Yeah, if line 20, oh yeah, that's what I had said before on this. This is probably bugged because this would then send and you'd get some sort of error and it would propagate, but the client would never see it. So,
so
again, this isn't good error
get the heck
checking.
out somehow. Yeah, I gotcha.
You'd probably want to return there, like that.
Something.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't have errors though, so we're good.
Yeah, exactly. We program without errors. So this is going to find, this find function, notice I'm not taking any parameters, right? So this is going to find me all the cats because I'm just hitting /cat. But now if I go to /cat:ID, right, this is going, I'm going to use a different syntax. I'm going to find by ID, and I'm going to pass the parameters of the ID.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's going to look for the ID inside my cat's database, and then again, if I have an error.
And is find by ID a function that's offered by Mongoose?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Because we're actually using, so we're using Express. We're using Node to talk to Express, and Express is talking to Mongoose, and Mongoose is talking to MongoDB. Okay, gotcha.
I'm just kidding, yeah. So now if we do an update, again, the same thing. I'm going to use the same find by ID function, which is going to pass in a parameter ID, which now you'll see this is Mongo. When you create a new object inside Mongo, you're actually going to get an ID.
Okay.
And then I'm going to...
A real ID.
Real ID. And then this one, I'm actually going to do a little bit of logic with Lodash to merge the old cat and the new cat that I pass in, and I'm going to save it.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah, cat.save. It's cloning. We're building the mecha cat. And then find by ID and remove is finally what we're going to do for delete. So let's see this in action.
Okay.
I'm probably...
Oh, wait, you just renamed that cat routes.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to have to redo that here, right?
Do we do... Okay, so...
Man, you're good, John.
Cats, so this cats is now really the routes pointing to him. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the dot means current folder?
Correct.
All right.
Yep.
And that's works on Windows or Mac, I assume.
Yes. And if you're writing this on Windows, I know they usually use the backslash as the path. I think you can use both. Do you know
I'm pretty sure you can use...
You can use the backslash and Node just figures it out. You just mean a path separator.
I'm on a Mac, so I can't try it, but
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So, no, but I think you can actually, well, I can try it.
Let's give it a whirl.
Because it'll actually, I think it does it, node mon index. Yeah, because you could, oh no, it doesn't.
Yeah, I couldn't find the file.
Yeah, I can't find
that's the escape character.
Yeah.
In the string.
But there was a way that yeah, okay, anyways. So you might have to always use / if you're on Windows. Okay. So now, if I go in here to cat, I should get cat find. What happened? Where?
Cat.find is not a function.
Cat.find is not a function.
And it's telling us, where was that error?
Let's see.
Cat routes 19.
Yeah. So I probably forgot something. Cat.find. So is cat require cat model? Did I save my cat model? Make sure I save everything. Let's try it again.
You're using NodeMon, so you should just be able to refresh, right?
Mm-hmm. There we go.
So we didn't save a file somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're using VS Code, it auto-saves you.
Oh, look at you. I tried VS Code. I'm in the process. I like it more than Atom at this point, and I'm moving off of Sublime. I just wasn't comfortable enough yet to try it. John's been trying to get me to use VS Code, so you're working. You're winning the battle.
It's happening.
It's happening. So I found some cats. So I mean, I cheated. I've got a database. I was doing this before, and I've already entered a couple cats into there. I mean, we can go into Postman and we can send some cats to prove. Let's
send some cats over.
Yeah, send some cats. John, how old are you? 7?
Yes.
All right, we'll say 7, and then you're an alley cat.
Okay.
We'll make you a tomcat. Oh, didn't mean to save that. All right, so if I say post on local.cat and I send this, cat created successfully, and if I go and refresh here, you're now on the list.
Sweet.
So now notice this is a little different, right? So we actually have an ID here, and we have a version. So the ID is a unique ID. It's a hash that's generated so that you don't have collisions, so that you can always search by ID. It's kind of like a primary key. It is
Did you tell it to do that, or is that it automatically?
Default.
Right, so that's the underscore ID. It just gives it to you.
You can make it not give you an ID, but there's really no reason not to have an ID.
And if you wanted your own property called ID that was self-managed, you could do that too.
You can, yes. You can pass in your own. And then they have this double underbar V, which is like a version. So you could have multiple versions of the same object if there's, for some reason, you need that. I haven't run across that, but I'm sure that, more complex applications.
Because everybody needs a column with 2 underscores.
Exactly. It's 2 low dashes.
There you go.
All right, so we've got our cats working. You want to test it out. See, we can do another. Let's put and let's change you. You just had let's say you're Benjamin Button and you went backwards. And we just cannot put cat. Oh, I gotta give. So now, do you see what just happened? I went to execute this command and it says cannot put /cat.
Is that because I already had a cat named John?
Well, no, because I forgot to add the ID. So I want to update a particular cat. Now, in this sense, when I was doing it before, I was using John. So, but now I have to actually send the ID.
That's right. So the post is the insert, the put is the update, and now that we're putting, we have to make sure we pass an ID in.
So now your age should have gone to 5. If I refresh, and you're at 5.
And that's good because when you didn't pass the ID, the route was looking for that value still. Because it was a put and sought out that route, it said, hey, you didn't pass any. It probably pulled it as undefined or null or something. It said, ah.
It said it couldn't even find the route because we didn't even define a cat put without a second parameter.
Right, so back in the routes, let's take a look at that. For the put, it has to have something after the slash, and you didn't provide anything.
So it said it couldn't find it at all.
So therefore, that's actually a good case for maybe in a real app. At the end of all this, we'd want something that's like an app general, like an app star. It's if it didn't catch any of these, then return some answer back of, dude, you did something wrong.
Exactly. Yep.
Invalid path.
Play by the rules. All right.
Take my ball and go home.